Hi, I'm Johnny from UltimatePaperMache.com, and in this video I want to show you how I put a very, very thin layer of paper mache clay over my selfie-monkey mask. And I know he's weird, but he was an awful lot of fun to do. And if you want to make one too, the pattern is now on my website at UltimatePaperMache.com/selfie-monkey. And I should mention that even though this video is about the paper mache clay that's on the outside, I did finish it on the inside with just paper strips and paste, the traditional paper mache. And the reason I did that is because all you need to finish the inside and cover up the pieces of tape, cover up the seams, it's just one layer of paper mache. It goes on really fast, and it's a lot lighter than paper mache clay, and it's just more comfortable to wear. So that's what I did on the inside, but on the outside I used the paper mache clay this time. Now in a previous video I showed you how I put the paper strips and paste over the wolf mask, and it works just fine. That would have worked with this too, but I just decided I hadn't used the paper mache clay for a while, so I would go ahead and try it on selfie-monkey. If you want to use the paper strips and paste, it's not better or not worse, or basically it would come out almost exactly the same, but I just felt like using it this time, and that's what this video is going to be about. When I'm putting paper mache clay over a mask, I want to make sure that I can put it on as thinly as possible. So I don't use the recipe exactly the way it's written. I use less flour. And as soon as the paper mache clay starts to ride up the beaters, I stop adding any more flour. I'll go ahead and mix it up a little bit longer, but I won't add any more flour. And that way I can spread it out really, really thin. And as you can see here, it's almost as thin as frosting when you do it that way. I use a knife to spread it over the cardboard, and when I'm putting on the first layer, I'm not worrying about making any kind of extra forms. I'm just putting it over the cardboard, covering it up in the thinnest layer I possibly can. This will cover up the seams and any of the tape that's on there. But I will be making some of those seams just a little bit smoother and add just a little bit more rounding when I put the second layer on. You can make your paper mache clay a little bit smoother just by dipping a gloved hand in some water, or which I prefer is a mixture of water and glue. This just makes the glove really slick so it slides over the top of the paper mache clay, and it can just smooth it off really nice. Now some people might prefer to use the smoother air dry clay recipe that's on my website, and you can find that in the art library at ultimatepapermache.com. You do want to use less flour and perhaps no cornstarch if you're going to use that recipe, because otherwise it won't stick to the cardboard. You still want it to be nice and smooth, kind of like a frosting. But the one nice thing about the air dry clay recipe is that it doesn't have as much paper, so you don't have quite as much texture when you're done. With this guy, he doesn't really need to be all that smooth, I don't think, because he's not a real elegant guy. He just, you know, it's a selfie monkey, so I don't mind the texture at all. But I did smooth it off a little bit. For the second layer, I added just a little bit more flour, just to make it a little bit thicker. And I added a little bit more of the paper mache clay on a kind of a stripe between the eyes and the top of the, oh, what are we going to call him, the upper lip. And the only reason I did that was because I wanted to make the nose look like it was going in instead of out. It's a very, very strange nose. You can see what I mean if you look at photographs of the actual selfie monkey, because it kind of, he's got his cheek and then it goes in and then he has a little bit of a nose sticking out. It's very strange. And then I was also able to use that extra clay that I put there to add some curved lines. You'll see those as well when you look at the photographs of the real selfie monkey. As soon as the paper mache clay was dry, I got the hot glue gun hot and I put the eyes and the teeth on. And this is a little bit tricky because it's really easy to get them on crooked because you're looking at the front and you're trying to attach them on the back of the mask. And so I had to get out my hair dryer and soften the glue in order to reposition them. But that wasn't all that hard. It just took a little bit of extra time because they didn't go on quite right the first time. I think you'll also notice that I used too much foil behind the eyelids, and for that reason my eyes Well, okay, the selfie monkey's eyes are a little bit smaller than they would be if I had used a thinner amount of the foil. So if it looks like it's going to be too much when you kind of test it before adding the paper mache, go ahead and use your fingers to squish it down really tight so that you have some thickness to the eyelids, but it doesn't get so thick that it pushes the eye too far back and takes up more space on the eye and makes the eyes too small. Another thing that I did that I don't recommend doing is that I used some more of the paper mache clay to add a little bit of thickness to those teeth. I mean, it came out okay, but it was really hard to make the shapes the way I wanted to because I had used such a thin mixture of the paper mache clay. Now, some epoxy sculpt would have worked really well. It would have been really easy to make nice smooth teeth and exactly the way you want them. I don't recommend, though, that you go out and buy some epoxy sculpt just for like a couple of teaspoons of it, because the teeth actually look really nice without adding any thickness to them at all. That's what I would actually do the next time if I ever made myself another selfie monkey. Now in the next video, I'm going to show you how I finished it, how I put her crest on there. I'll give you some ideas for other materials you could have used for the crest instead of what I used. I'm pretty sure you won't guess what it is. And I'm also pretty sure it's not the best thing to choose, but it was what I happen to have on hand, so that's what I used. So that's in the next video. It's going to be short because finishing it is really easy, like everything else on this particular pattern. Now, as I said before, you can find this pattern out on my website, ultimatepapermache.com, selfie monkey, and there is a small charge for it, but you're going to have a heck of a lot of fun putting them together if you happen to be weird enough to want a selfie monkey mask, like I am. I think it was a lot of fun, and trust me, if you do make one, you're going to be the only one in town who does. So we'll see you next time. That's coming up real soon. Watch for it, ultimatepapermache.com.